I'm about ready to go have a coaching call with my client V. Just thought I'd show you this beautiful rural life that blows my hair back. And the other piece that she has on her agenda today is she wants me to tell her the hard truth about what I see in her, that why she's feeling stuck, that she just thinks that she can't see and no one has the courage to tell her the truth about how she comes off and how people experience her. So check out this. We'll see how it goes.
I wrote out a couple of sort of intention things I wanted to let go of, things for the next year, but we can talk about that, or I can also just ask you sort of big picture. We've spent time together in the group and now one-on-one. And so just being frank with me, because I'm good with direct feedback in terms of anything that stands out for you. Like when I went to your retreat, the big thing that we talked about was acceptance as the thing for me to work on. And so anything else that comes up like that for me as I think about the next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think for you that the biggest thing is that you put blinders on yourself that you don't realize aren't the truth. They're your truth in the moment, but they're not the truth.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
we haven't talked about that.
Yeah, I think that like when you get in that place where you like with your jerky boss, or like things are there's a struggle, right?
Yeah.
I think the default for you is still sometimes, why is this happening to me? And I don't have any choices, and
That's true.
There's no way out.
That's true.
Yeah. And so that is not the truth. That is your truth. You're choosing it. And I think that you forget to take responsibility for the fact that you are choosing it. If you choose that, like you just said, like, I'm not playing tennis, I'm not doing whatever, I'm just focusing on my daughter and I'm going to work, right? Just owning that you've chosen that rather than being like, oh, this is so bad. Like, I don't get to play tennis like other people, right? Like you're choosing it, or you're choosing to listen to what your boss says and make it the truth, or you're choosing to try and fit in this place where it's very challenging. So I think you have a way more possibilities than you choose to see sometimes. It's like I was just telling someone like if you ever watch a Marvel movie or any science fiction or read a book or whatever, like you're in that world and you believe that world and like you just believe it because it's written so well that you believe it's real. Yeah. And so I think of our lives like that. Like we have rules, we have like story, and we're like, this is what it is. But really there's like another universe. Like how you see the world is completely different from other people and you have a choice. So I would say see possibility is the headline.
I think that's really powerful. That's a really powerful insight.
And when you like at the retreat, once you like slow down, and you created time to really reflect and get to the deep pieces, like there's so much there, like there's so much there that that you can change.
What do you mean by that?
Well, like at the retreat, for example, like you were sort of forced like to like be in a container of reflection and deal with shit, right? And be asked hard questions and not run away into all the other stuff that you do have in your life, right? And I think when you take the time to really do that, you're very coachable, you're very smart, like you're very you have a lot of capacity and capability. And so I think also that scurry energy we worked on at the very beginning can sometimes take you out of like dealing with what's really going on because you're just trying to problem solve.
Mine is more practical, like yours is more thoughtful. But like one of the things I thought about, and I have had a couple of people point this out to me too, is like people that know me really well, is I went to the beach for Rosh Hashanah and there was like this ceremony at the beach. Did I tell you about this? I can't remember.
Like a Tosh League thing?
Yeah. And like I walked into the beach with friends of mine that were there, and I like smiled and I was so happy. And I reflected on that quickly last night because there has been none of that in my life. And like other friends recently, the last 6 months, and other friends that know me well were like, wow, you need to laugh again. Like we never hear you laugh. It's like very serious and stressful all the time.
Next to what I'd given you that feedback, right? Is that if you're in a place of like where you don't see possibility ever, right?
Yeah.
And you feel empowered or like, oh, I'm like I have to do this, like, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's no joy, there's no light, there's no humor. You're not playing.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can you work hard and also be you? Like, find joy. I did a video the other day, and a bunch of people responded to this piece that I said because it was about being busy, actually. And I was like, you don't have a time management problem, you have a mindset problem, right? But the bottom line is, I said in the video, is like, you really have to think about what you want your life to be, because at the end, do you want your tombstone to say, Victoria, she was really busy. That's what happens if we don't, take a stand. And that's why I said, like, how do you manifest? Like, you have to decide, like, there's an end to this, and I'm going to plan that end, and I'm going to do something else. Or I'm going to just do this, but I'm also going to live my freaking life.
For people that you've coached where they've gone through sort of a potential change like this, right? It's starting with that exercise,
yes,
that one that you just talked about, the that flow exercise?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And it's funny, I have a client who worked for corporate, and then she did that, and then she ended up being a consultant, and then she got, wooed back by one of her clients. And she's in it, and she's like, this sucks. Like, I didn't leave here to do my own thing, to come back and be seduced by all this money or opportunity, and then never have any joy in my life, right? And so she was like, all those things that I left to create, to be in flow and all that stuff, I'm like back in this situation. So, but what she decided was that she could make different choices about how she shows up for that job.
Okay, say more. Like what?
Right? So she was like, well, we had a big conversation. It happens to be with Dell. And she, through the course of the conversation, she said, in the end, Michael Dell doesn't give a shit about me. Like, I'm like living my life for him and his company, working on the weekends, not doing this, making sure I take on everybody's tasks because other people on my team don't perform, but I also like care about what the team looks like and what other people think. And she just realized she was enabling like the whole system. So she stopped, and she was like, talked to all the people that work for her, and she was like, I've been saving your ass, because the story she had was like, well, you have a family and you're younger and you're, and so she just stopped. She closed her laptop on the weekend. She decided to be a better leader, manage her people better. And then everything sort of changed, on her team. But the bottom line is, she turned 60, and she was like, I've been saying my life is going to change. Like, when this launch is over, I'm 60, and this is not how I wanted to be at 60. And so I have to change it. So she decided that her core motivation to create income so she could retire in like 18 months for now is keeping her focused on what I said, like planning her exit, setting new boundaries, remembering, putting it into perspective, and that's helping her like have joy again. So I think it's remembering those things and saying, like, taking responsibility for the parts that you can is essential.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to read to you what I wrote out.
I love that. That's
I know it's a long list, and it might not be totally practical, but let's see what I wrote out. I wrote. Great. Okay, I have a picture of it. Okay, so I actually only wrote 7 items. Okay, one
Okay.
is to feel celebrated, respected, and supported in my work.
Okay.
To love my work, and while having balance in order to live the rest of my life. That's number one. Number two, to be a fun and a good mommy and a focused mommy to Sophia.
Okay.
Number three, to meet my life partner. Number four, to be in good physical and mental shape, to feel great, which includes meditation for better sleep and getting in shape physically. Like I put to be back in this dress that I wore last year that I couldn't fit into this year. Not because I've gained weight, but just because I'm out of shape. Then I put to laugh and feel joy, like the walk on the beach,
Yep.
to dance, to play tennis. One thing that really, this is why I wrote this. I'd be curious to get your take on this. It kind of has to do with the law of attraction and karma. I wrote to practice acceptance of others who are different and of me. And the reason, let me tell you why I wrote that.
Yeah.
During Yom Kippur, one of the things that hit me, and it's a hard realization, is that I was super, super judgmental of my ex and especially of his two older kids. I didn't think, they were living their right, they weren't doing chores and they weren't working and they were slacking off and they were putting him in tough financial positions, on and on and on. I mean, I can't even, as were my parents, and they were, egging me on. So I was, instead of being accepting, I was really, really judgmental. And I was actually thinking about that. And I wonder if you believe in karma, I wonder if that's why I'm having like such a tough year of it. But that's why I write that.
I don't believe in karma per se. I believe like that life happens and then we have to learn the lesson over and over and over and over again until we like actually learn the lesson.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's like, I think it's interesting, right? Like if you were judgmental.
So judgmental.
And now you're being judged.
Yeah.
Right? Like the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is like, Victoria, class is starting.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay.
Right?
So how do I let the universe know I got it? I got the lesson really clearly this time. I got it.
Yeah. So I think one thing is like, so looking at like, how can I have more self-acceptance?
Yeah.
Surrender. How can you not take like the judgment personally? Like that you're being judged, right? Like if you understand now that judgment, it can be a flaw, and your boss and all these people who you're working with are judging you, it's their own flaw, right? So if you could have compassion and understand that and be resilient and resourceful and learn to be who you really are, then you will not be as reactive around someone judging you, and you will judge less. So if you switch your judgment of him for being a jerk to one of compassion or wanting to create more understanding, you can't really bully you anymore. Just notice other places in your life where you're judging and be like, what's another way? Like someone was saying, and a client I just coached with earlier, she was like, I keep saying to myself, what would the highest version of me do or think or say in this situation? What would a high value woman do, think, or say in this situation?
So that's why I wrote that one out, because it really hit me. And then actually I wrote out to expand my network of friends and community around me, to have a really, especially if I don't move,
right,
to have that, because that definitely changed after the separation. So it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
Well, I think some of the goals that are very aspirational, like it's my philosophy and all that, is to make them more like a mastery orientation where it's about you showing up to be more of you.
Okay.
This like, because then the success is measured by the outcome rather than by the trying.
Can you say more? What do you mean?
Well, so like if
I know we talked about that, the mastery orientation, but so that it would be.
So like one of them, you said like, I want to work out more, basically, get better in shape, right?
Yeah.
So that's just like a goal. I mean, it's great, but like, I think if you reframe it and you're like, figure out what's causing me to not go to the gym.
Yeah.
Right? Like, try 5 different kinds of workouts and see which one I really enjoy. Take a class about, midlife exercise. I'm literally making shit up.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Those are like the being of the goal rather than just like something of like, I'm going to get a gym here. Like that's just like.
Got it.
And I don't mean to be like cavalier, like, oh, it's stupid, but I'm like, everyone makes that goal and like basically it's really hard to execute. So set yourself up to win by making
That's great.
Things that you would actually do. So if you go through all those goals and you try and create 1 or 2 versions of the way I just showed you for each one, that'll probably be more like doable. Or you'll say, no, my choice this next 6 months is I'm having my head down at work. So I'm not even this isn't real. I don't actually, I'd love to wear the dress, but like, honestly, I'm not going to set myself up for a lie.
Yeah.
I don't have time for this. So I'll put it on for 2024 and I'll reevaluate. So it's like that radical honesty,
Thank you.
You're welcome.